Hey guys, back to another video. Got another guest here.
How's it going?
This is my friend Sam, and he probably knows more about football than I do.
I wouldn't say that. You're the smartest person I know for football.
Well, more the technical stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so today, I know it's a little early, but I want to go through the top 5 quarterbacks in this draft for 2 reasons. 1, I want to get him on in one of these videos. And 2, you don't know what's going to happen with these quarterbacks. I don't know who's going to be on the combine. None of them are going to be in the Senior Bowl because they're all underclassmen. Well, Watson would be, but he declined it. So why don't we just get right into it? And this is NFL.com's Bucky Brooks. Top 5. He's starting off with Deshaun Kaiser. So you want to start with Kaiser, or do you want me to do it?
I got it. Kaiser, he's this guy who he's giant. He has this great size. He's got a strong arm. He has this sneaky athleticism too. You see him when he drops back and the rush comes in. He kind of moves around in the pocket and can
very mobile.
But he stares down his receivers way too much. He takes the snap, looks at his receiver, fires it. Then his accuracy is a little inconsistent here and there.
Less than 60% of his passes were completed in this past year.
Yeah, and one thing I noticed when watching the film, he only knows the fastball. He only fires the ball. He doesn't put much touch on it often. It's just guns it. And the last thing is poor mechanics. Just because a college-style offense just doesn't have that footwork yet.
He kind of scares me a little bit because everybody just says he just has to control his mechanics. We've heard that a lot with guys like Kyle Bowler, Jamarcus Russell, Jake Locker, and Bowler never threw for more than 13 touchdowns in a season. Russell never took things seriously. Locker kept getting hurt. That's what scares me a little bit about him. Is he going to be one of those guys, or is he going to be somebody different?
Another thing with Kaiser, he didn't win all that much, and I know it's like a weird stat to look at because it's a team game, but when you look at like leadership and stuff like that, Kaiser really doesn't show that mental thing that you see in other quarterbacks like Deshaun Watson.
He was a guy that's probably going to be a first-round pick, but could have benefited from a year staying in school. He probably would be the first overall pick if he stayed in school.
Absolutely.
And speaking of Deshaun Watson, I'm going to talk about him. The thing I love about him is he's a leader. And he steps up when you need for him to step up.
Without a doubt.
He still has a really good arm. And he's one of the more accurate quarterbacks in this class. And there aren't too many accurate quarterbacks, and he's one of them. And I didn't notice many cons. It's probably his size is one. He's, what, 6'2"?
Yeah, he's 6'2", like 210 or something like that. He's a little undersized. But he is also one of those mobile quarterbacks, so he kind of benefits from being a little bit smaller. He can escape the pocket, can get out and run a little bit. I saw his accuracy is questionable at times, but that's just...
that's any college quarterback, though.
You look at the mechanics, it's just sometimes he overstrides and it just causes the ball to sail.
And that's more coaching than anything else.
Yeah. It's definitely a coachable issue, so... That's one of the nice things about him. He has that potential where you can coach up his flaws and he can become this true leader of a team.
And like I said, stepping up in big games. When you're going up against a team like Alabama and your quarterback just throws for 400 yards both of the times you play him.
Yeah.
400 yards both times, and he did better the second time you played him. That just shows this guy knows how to play in the big games, and he knows how to get better. Because against Alabama... the first time, he still had those problems. That's what I love about him.
One more thing I saw about Watson. Sometimes he has a little bit of questionable decision-making when he's under duress, but that's every single quarterback. And if you look at the Pittsburgh game, he threw 3 picks in that game. And this is against Pittsburgh secondary, which was awful.
I remember...
So it's a little troubling, but it's nothing that's going to knock him down too much.
I remember Jameis Winston coming out of college.
Yeah.
Sorry. And it was the Louisville game. He threw like 3 interceptions. They still won the game, but still.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was that game.
But the Watson 3 interception game against Pittsburgh, he wasn't even though there's 3 picks, he wasn't the reason they lost that game. So Watson, it's hard to not put him number 1 because he is the best football player out of these quarterbacks. He's the biggest leader. He takes it up a level whenever it gets to fourth quarter and they're down, or fourth quarter and they're up by a little bit. He just steps it up, and it's amazing to watch.
I think they're putting Kaiser number 1 is just because he's got the more potential.
Yeah, because he has that cannon of an arm, and he has that size.
Okay, you're talking about potential. Let's talk about North Carolina's quarterback.
Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah. Why don't you handle the pros and I'll handle some of the cons?
Okay. So Mitch, this was his first year as a starter, as a junior.
But he did play in over 20 games.
Mm-hmm.
That's something you got to remember. He did play in games. It's not like he never played and then he started.
He has a really, really strong arm. Not quite the level of Kaiser, but he has a good arm. He has an NFL type arm. He's pretty accurate. For most of the part, he's mostly hitting his receivers, and he really moves well in the pocket. He was coming out of high school as a dual threat quarterback, but I really don't see that mobility to him. I think he can run, but he's more so of a mobile pocket passer. He can move around in the pocket real well, find those throwing lanes, and hit his receiver.
Yeah, that's the thing when these guys are coming out of high school, you see pro style and dual threat.
Yeah.
And you think dual threat's more of a running guy, pocket passer's more of the pocket guy. Not really. You see some pocket passers. Like in this class, I talked about Kasim Hill. He's a pocket passer, but he's not that much of a pocket passer. He will run. It's just that he's better in the pocket than he is on the run. And then you see some dual threat guys. I can't think of one right now, but they can still run the ball. Maybe Mod comes to mind because he still can really throw the ball. But off of that, some of the cons that I see, the 13 starts that is a little alarming because he did have only his first year as a starter. How do I want to put this? Help me out here. I'm trying to think of how to put it. It's kind of like with the mechanics sometimes. He will...
he's a little erratic. Yeah. So when he
I just couldn't think of the word.
One of the biggest things I see with him is he doesn't see the blitz well. So he'll stand in the pocket and keep his eyes downfield, which is good. But when that pressure starts coming in, you're going to want to see him start looking to that check down or looking to escape. And sometimes he misses it, which he'll feel the pressure at the last second and like throw off his back foot or overextend, and he'll miss his guys. It's something that you see in guys like Blaine Gabbert. Not necessarily drawing that comparison, but Blaine Gabbert had a problem with feeling the blitz and seeing the blitz, and it caused him to be incredibly inaccurate. I'm not making that comparison, but it's something that it's similar between the two.
It may be similar, but with something like that can come as you're starting more.
Yeah.
Because remember, he's only started 13 games, and while he did play in others, he has only started 13 games. As he gets
as he gets more starts, he'll get better. And he went on this crazy streak in the season where he threw like 5 400-yard games. And this isn't a guy in like a Texas Tech offense like Patrick Mahomes. This is a guy playing in like a college spread offense a little bit, where it's a little bit more pro style, like shotgun offense. And he was throwing 400-yard games consistently. It was nice to see that from a guy who's only had a couple starts at this point.
Okay, you want to talk about guys that play the pro style offense. Probably the most pro style offense is Kaya. Probably
Brad Kaya.
I think he played more pro style offense than any of these other quarterbacks because he would take snaps from under center. You don't see that a lot in today's college football. And I'm really high on this guy. I really like him because, one, he's got a really strong arm too, but two, I think he's probably the smartest quarterback out of this class.
Without a doubt.
Because I keep seeing him go through his progressions. He will actually look at where the safety is. We were talking about this. He looks at the safety, finds the best receiver to throw it at, and he can just fit it in.
Yeah. My favorite thing about Kaya is his footwork. You see him he has really good footwork.
Footwork is a big deal when you are a quarterback. Don't think it's not.
Yeah, his footwork is just, out of all 5, he has the best footwork, which is really, it's nice to see from a guy coming out of college because they run these spread offenses where they don't have to drop back. But Kaya takes snaps under center, and he has good strides, and he has this cannon, or I wouldn't say cannon, but he has this strong arm where he can really fit the ball in tight windows. But he does, when he looks at the safety and then he finds his receiver, he really doesn't, not all the time, but he doesn't move off that receiver. So he has this problem of staring down his guys, but he stares down guys who he thinks is going to be open, not necessarily the guy he wants to get the ball to and force the issue, kind of like Kaiser does.
Yeah, there are two different types of when you're staring down a receiver. One is just the number one guy. Two is a guy that you think will get open.
Yeah.
But that's really coachable. That's coachable stuff. And the best part about him is he's a sneaky athlete.
You see him. He'll go through his reads. First guy's not open.
What's a good comparison? I'm thinking just by a sneaky athlete standpoint.
I'd say Alex Smith. Sneaky athleticism.
I was thinking Joe Flacco because
Joe Flacco before the knee injury.
Yeah, because I saw Kaya. It was like 1st and 10, 2nd and 10. He had nowhere to throw, so he just runs. He gets the first down.
Yeah. Or he'll go through his first read, not open, second read, not open, and then he'll feel the pressure and he'll sneak out, get a couple of yards. It's not much, but it's better than losing 5 yards, 6 yards.
Here's a guy that Arizona could really take.
Oh yeah, if Arizona would be able to get him at the end of the first round or even in the second round.
Well, they pick at 13 now.
Oh, they pick at I'm thinking Arizona last.
Yeah, you're thinking Arizona last
when they were good. In the second round, definitely he could go there.
Okay, the last one is Texas Tech's quarterback Patrick Mahomes. Sorry. I was thinking Mahomes. We talked about him a little earlier. He played in probably the ultimate
college offense.
Yeah, I was thinking ultimate spread, but ultimate college is even better. It's because this is a guy where you look at your first receiver, if he's not there, run.
Yeah.
Or scramble around, try to find somebody. But with that, he would keep his eyes downfield. And that's something that you don't see a lot in college quarterbacks. And he does have a really strong arm. And he will fit it into tight spaces.
Oh, absolutely.
You see it in his games. He will fit it in tight spaces.
He makes some crazy throws sometimes. Like, he'll be running. He's a right-handed quarterback, so when he's running to the left, you wouldn't really expect him to be that accurate. But he'll fire the ball 45 yards downfield with amazing accuracy. And it's just his ability to improvise is what's really the most impressive thing about him. He kind of reminds me of Ben Roethlisberger in that aspect, where when the play breaks down, he can just do whatever, and he can find a guy and fire it to him.
One thing I never looked, how big is the guy? I never looked at that.
They say he's 230, but when I was watching the Oklahoma game, he was looking 240, 245.
Okay.
But he still
What's his height?
I think he's 6'3".
Okay. I was thinking,
he's not quite Roethlisberger size, but
he's bigger than I thought he would.
And he's more athletic than you think, because once he takes off, he has some wheels on him. Oh, yeah. So he has a little bit of that sneaky athleticism that I talked about with Kaiser too, except he's a little bit more athletic because he ran this offense where he had to run around all the time. He runs a college offense. Obviously, his footwork isn't that great. He definitely needs to sit on the bench for a year or two.
And another problem is he will, in fitting in tight spaces, he does try to force throws.
Yeah, because he thinks he can make the throw.
But I don't think he does that as much as Kaiser does.
Oh, no, not at all.
Because Kaiser, I remember seeing a highlight, he was throwing in quadruple coverage. 4 guys, probably maybe 2 receivers, but the guy was farthest ahead. He's lucky that thing wasn't intercepted.
Oh, yeah.
But Mahomes, I didn't see too much of that. And sometimes it doesn't see the safety coming or a corner coming. So, yeah, that's stuff that can be coached.
But I think this class is one of the this quarterback class early on is one of those that you see. There's no real top elite level talent, but there's a lot of really good players. Really good.
So who's your top 5?
My top 5, I go Mitch Trubisky, North Carolina, Deshaun Watson, Clemson, Brad Kaya, Miami, Deshaun Kaiser, Notre Dame, and then Patrick Mahomes, Texas Tech.
Flip Watson and Trubisky, and that's my top 5. I still think Watson will be first picked.
Out of those quarterbacks, I think Watson. I think his leadership and his ability to win games is something that stands out.
This is how I see this class. Trubisky has the highest upside.
Mm-hmm.
He's got the most upside. Kaiser's the biggest athlete in this class.
Yeah.
What I mean is he's the more.
He's like this idea of a pro quarterback. He fits that mold.
Watson's the biggest leader. Kaya's the biggest, probably one year project.
Where
he sits on the bench for 1 year, learns, and then he's ready.
Yeah.
and Mahomes is a guy that is the developmental guy.
Yeah.
Where if he develops, you have a starter.
I think all of these guys are going to be somebody who would benefit from sitting on the bench for a year, but Mahomes definitely needs to sit on the bench. Watson, Trubisky, they could probably start rookie year.
Kaiser maybe towards the end of the year, and then Kaya sits for a year if he learns everything. Like I said, Arizona, because Palmer may have one more year left.
Yeah. I think Arizona would be a good fit. But then again, we've been talking about Arizona drafting a quarterback for the past couple years.
But this may be the year because I still think Palmer has 1 year left, and I think Arizona now sees that.
Yeah.
Okay, this video is getting way too long, so I'll see you guys later.
See you guys.